Hi everyone. This is the no. Hi everyone. This is the No Pill Man, formerly known as the ASMR Big Middleman. This is not ASMR. Sorry to disappoint people. What this is a video is about owning my first working line German Shepherd. If you want to get super particular, um, this dog is 50% West German working line, 50% Czech line. There are some who argue that that distinction is meaningless. It's just a marketing gimmick, and there are some people who argue there's some real significance in that in those bloodlines that affects the dog's behavior. I'm not here to take a opinion on it. I'm just here to share it. And yeah, I'm going to talk about what my experience has been owning this dog. Larsa, here. She's about to come over. Hey, girl. And the experiences I've had, the good parts, the bad parts, um, and my personal beliefs about dog training. I am not a dog trainer myself. I'm just what I would call an educated layperson. So basically, I got this dog online through an advertisement. I was looking for a working line German Shepherd that was already trained, already socialized, and not a puppy because I don't personally have the time to take care of a puppy. Not that I wouldn't be open towards it in the future. It's just I don't feel like I wouldn't have the experience. So I got this dog with the assumption and with plenty of evidence that this dog was indeed social and stable. Owning this dog, however, I have not had the experience. The dog is actually very fearful and very what's called reactive slash aggressive. Somewhat reactive slash aggressive towards people, extremely reactive and aggressive towards other animals. And if I would have known that this dog came with that issues, or as a result of being with me, that dog would have these issues, I would have never gotten the dog. I would have kept walking. And I'm not throwing shade at the previous owner. The previous owner did a bunch of great work with the dog. My theory or hypothesis or whatever you want to call it as to why she's reactive and aggressive the way she is, a lot of people, they think there's some kind of horrible, traumatizing story as to why dogs are reactive and aggressive. And sometimes there is trauma, and that can make things really bad. There's no question about that. But what the vast majority of the time is there's an epigenetic thing. So for those that don't know, epigenetics is basically the interaction between genes and environment. So German Shepherds, that's what my dog is, working line German Shepherd, as I've said, have a genetic predisposition of being suspicious towards outsiders. So don't generally being skeptical of new people and new animals. And then when you combine that genetic predisposition with being under socialized, which is possible that this was the case due to the fact that she was born during COVID. So you can't necessarily fault um, who owned her as a puppy because lockdowns and simply socialization for a lot of people, depending on where you were, simply was not available. So that is my hypothesis or theory or whatever the flip you want to call it that caused her to become this reactive dog. Now, basically, my theory as to why the dog was not reactive with the previous handler is first off, this handler has much more experience than I do. Second off, this handler lived on a farm. There's my dog barking in the background, driving me crazy. Oh, that hurts my ears. And basically, there wasn't an opportunity for the dog's reactivity to fully express itself because the dog lived in the countryside and where there was a lot less stimulation. So they probably were over threshold a lot less often. Another possibility piece of the puzzle for reactivity is German Shepherds get very, very attached to their owner, and the previous owner did a bunch of stuff with them, taking them to competitions, agility, you name it. And as a result, likely became extremely attached, and maybe being rehomed was not a good experience for the dog. Maybe the dog was upset by it, and maybe that may have contributed to the reactivity. Again, just a guess. I don't know if it's true, but this is just my hypothesis. And as far as to how I'm addressing it, I'm using mainly positive reinforcement training, reward-based training. I'm not completely against corrections, but I just believe that yank and crank, giving heavy punishment towards a dog, I don't think that's really the answer here. like I said, not against corrections, but I'm against yank and crank. There's an obvious distinction to be made between the two. And I don't necessarily buy into the idea that a dog that's aggressive or reactive is dominant over the owner. Um, Lursa's that's the dog's name, is actually very biddable towards me, has never shown me any resource guarding, has never shown me any aggression whatsoever. She's never even growled at me, not once. She's playfully barked at me when we were playing, but she's not shown any of that dickish behavior. So, and that's another thing, a myth about a lot of aggressive, reactive dogs, is that dogs are reactive or aggressive because they're assholes. And I'm not saying that's never the case, but the vast majority of the time, from limited research or extensive research, limited but also extensive at the same time research that I've done, is the vast majority of the time when a dog is reactive, they're not being, I'm going to do it because I'm a jerk. It's, I'm afraid and I need to get this scary thing, person, animal away from me, and so I'm going to bark at it and put up a big front. And that's definitely the case with Lursa, because when she meets people, she barks at them, but when she gets really close, she goes into avoidance, starts hiding behind me. And when she starts hiding behind me and cowering, that is her true face. That is who she truly is. And you might think, well, this is your first German Shepherd ever. Why not get a show line? I personally did not want to deal with the potential hip dysplasia problems that happen with show line German Shepherds with the sloped back. I wanted a dog my dog's going crazy again. That's my German in the front. Oh my god. So basically, in order to get around those health problems, I decided to go with a working line. Not saying that working lines don't exist that are backyard bred or have bad hips, and that the reverse isn't always true, that there aren't show lines that exist that have good genetics and good hips. But that's just from the research that I've done, a potential problem of the show line. And basically, there was no Schutzhund / protection sport club. God, that hurts. Where I was. So there was no opportunity for me really to get my feet wet with the breed. So the only option was for me to dive on head first. And in hindsight, which is 2020, that was a mistake. But at the time, all the evidence pointed towards this dog being stable and very social. There was video evidence, there was videos of this dog with other dogs, but and that's another thing that contributed to her aggression / reactivity, is my lack of experience. Okay? A dog that's going to dog shows, that's around other dogs, it's around people just fine, that becomes reactive with a new handler. I'm not a fool. I'm the common denominator. So obviously I have clearly played a role in increasing or manifesting her reactivity. There's no question there. And back to the training, I personally don't really think that dominance in dogs don't really exist. What I think trainers who use dominance-based training / compulsion, who are good at what they do, what I think mainly happens is the dog learns to associate the bad behavior with an aversive consequence, positive punishment, and they learn, okay, I'm not going to do that behavior because the consequence for the behavior is worse than the behavior. I don't think it has anything to do with the owner becoming dominant over the dog. It's just, I did this happened, this sucked, I don't want to do it anymore. I'm not going to do it anymore. And I think that's really just explains why some compulsion trainers have success. I'm not super in the camp of reward-based training or balanced or compulsion-based. I feel as though I don't have the experience or expertise to take too much of a harsh stance on it. Although I am again opposed to the kind of yank and crank training that some complain of. She's a good girl. She's a nice girl. Sweet as can be with me. Very nice dog with me, and my mom, and my father. It's just with people she doesn't know. Look at her. Not a mean bone in her body with me. But again, yank and crank, this dog is very sensitive. And for her case individually, I feel like yank and crank would just damage things and make things worse. So I've decided not to do that. And again, if you're if you're one of those people who think that positive only training is literally the be all end all of everything, and that you should never correct a dog, never reprimand them, you're probably going to disagree with me. And but also, if you're the super compulsive, like, oh, dogs should do stuff because you're dominant over them and they should respect you, you're probably not going to like me either. I kind of stand in the middle. I'm for compulsion with moderation, okay? Um, and but yeah, I just decide to personally take a very gentle approach with this dog because of her emotional sensitivities. Um, and basically, because I can never let this dog off leash because of her reactivity, I've conditioned her more or less to a muzzle. She's not as good with it as I'd like her to be, but she's getting there, and I keep working at it. So, with dogs, you can either exercise them physically or mentally. I obviously have to emphasize mental stimulation, given the fact that I can't put her off leash to play ball, because if I did, she'd go after a person or a dog. I've made progress, though, significant progress with people, to the point where if I have a structured meeting with someone and they do no touch, no talk, no eye contact, so they don't look at the dog, they don't touch the dog, they don't talk to the dog, and we just kind of walk side by side for about half a block, and then we stop, and then the person talks to me, while still doing no touch, no talk, no eye contact with my dog. She'll warm up to them very quickly, and today we had a very successful meeting. She met someone with a muzzle on, to prevent her from lashing out in fear, and it went very well. She, after warming her up to the person, in that with that no touch, no talk, no eye contact, meeting on neutral territory approach, she was very sweet towards the person. Was trying to give the guy kisses through her muzzle. I still kept her muzzle on at all times for the safety of everyone involved, and so I walk her around with a muzzle that she has been successfully more or less conditioned to. And I do a lot of mental work with her because, as a German Shepherd, particularly a working line German Shepherd, she's a very intelligent dog. She's an overachiever. She's an Einstein when it comes to dogs. When it comes to dogs, German Shepherds, they're ranked as, I believe, the second or either third most intelligent dog in the world by most rankings. I don't know how they ascertain what constitutes an intelligent or dumb dog, but it is what it is. So I have puzzle toys for her. I have a treat ball here, which has a little bit of kibble left in it, and she's just perking her ears and running back here because she's gonna fetch her treat ball. Here she is. Is she gonna start barking at the camera? I don't think she is. And yeah, that's just been what I'm doing. I've made mistakes. I have not been perfect. I probably made things work. I am, by and large, the largest cause of her reactivity, along with the other factors that I listed. But I'm learning very quickly. Dog training is somewhat of a hyper-focus with me, and with me personally, being a person who's on the autism spectrum, I can absorb the information really quickly because I'm interested in it. So I feel like I'm becoming much more skilled as a handler very quickly. Yeah, I would, like I said, I would have not gotten this dog if I would have known the potential issues I would have run into. But that's life. No one's perfect, and I owe it to this dog to do everything I can to make her live a better life. And I would say she's pretty darn happy where she is with me because she gets a lot of attention. I do a lot of mental stimulation work with her, about 30 minutes of mental work combined a day, broken up into smaller sessions. And as far as people who are novice owners, I would say I'm doing a pretty darn good job with her. Again, not perfect, but I do what I can. And as far as what parameters I would use to recommend a working line German Shepherd to someone, it would have to be someone who views dog training not as a chore, not as boring, but as someone who legitimately has a fun time with it if you enjoy doing it. It would have to be someone who doesn't mind hair getting in their house because these dogs shed. They're called German Shedders. That's their nickname. And it would have to be someone who potentially has deep pockets, like in the event there's any behavioral problems that you can take, so you can take them to a trainer who knows what they're doing, which is what I've been doing, and I've been having pretty good success with them. Um, and another thing is, I recommend them to someone who's very physically active because they have high physical exercise needs. Now, I personally have been very lucky. Okay, my dog does. Lursa is the laziest working line German Shepherd in terms of physical exercise needs that I've ever come across. But her mental exercise, she's good with just walking. But her mental exercise needs are through the charts. She really needs that mental stimulation. If I don't give it to her, she'll run up and start barking at me on the couch. Not in a mean, I'm gonna hurt you way, but in a high pitched bark. Let's play, let's play, let's play. Um, and yeah, so again, she has her issues, more or less with other factors due to my handling. Um, but I've also been very blessed in certain ways. Like there are some dogs, if they see another dog or a person that they don't like and they react to it and they're on the leash, they'll actually they'll react to the thing, and then when their owner tries to pull them back or tries to get them away from the situation, they'll turn on the owner and they'll bite them. Um, she doesn't. That's called redirection, and it's very common in certain super high drive dogs, so like Belgian Malinois, Dutch Shepherds. Not all of them, of course, but some of them with aggression issues. But she doesn't do that to me, and it's a good thing because if she did, I'd be doing trips to the hospital all the time because she can be very reactive. So yeah, um, again, not her fault for the way she is. It's my responsibility to deal with it, and I'm dealing with it in the best way that I can. I have a trainer. I'm doing all the work, and I suspect that as I keep working and working, things will only get better and better because that's the way things have been going. And yeah, that's just my experiences having a working line German Shepherd personally. I hope anyone who's considering getting one takes it as a cautionary tale with the potential problems. And I hope people make wise decisions and don't make knee jerky decisions. Not that my decision was a knee jerky one, but in hindsight, probably wasn't the best decision that could have been made. And yeah, have a good day, everyone.